Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Shinvatam Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Riddhantostahya Vadrani Vidhunoti Stuhisatam Nashtaprayasva Vadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshirunmilitam Mena तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम् Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, verse 11 and 12. Verse 11. श्रद्धस्वेतं मतं मह्यं जुस्तं यत् ब्रह्मवादिभिः येन माम् अभ्ययं याया मृत्युं रच्छन्ति अतद्विदः. Synonyms. Shradhvaso, you may rest assured. Etat, about this. Matam, instruction. Mahyam, my. Justam, followed. Yat, which. Brahmavadivihi, by transcendentalist. Yana, by which. Mam, unto me. Abhyam, without fear. Yaya, you shall reach. Mrityum, death. Richanti, attain. Etat vidaha, persons who are not conversant with this. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self-realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. Purport: material existence is full of anxiety and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service enunciated by Lord Kapila is very easily liberated. Verse 12. Maitreya इति प्रदर्श्य भगवान् सतीं ताम् आत्मनो गतिं सोमात्रा ब्रह्मवादिन्या कपिलो अनुमतो ययुः. Synonyms. Maitreya Vacha, Maitreya said, iti, thus, Pradarsya, after instructing Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satim, venerable, Tam, that, Atmanaha, of self-realization, Gatim, path, Somatra, from his mother, Brahmavadinya, self-realized, Kapilaha, Lord Kapila, Anumataha, took permission, Yayu left. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Maitreya said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Purport: the mission of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother and through his mother to the world, Kapila Deva had no more need to stay at home. So he took permission from his mother and left. Apparently, he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or banaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam today morning to purify myself. I'll just summarize both the verses, that is 11 and 12. So, what are the key points from this? Both the verses are. The main key points are that in the verse 11 it is mentioned, material world is full of anxiety and fear. So we need to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Then the mission of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, which is full of devotional service. He imparted the knowledge to the world through his mother. Then he left home for spiritual realization, even though he do not need any spiritual realization. In fact, everyone has to realize him as he is the Supreme Lord. But he did this to show example to the people in general. Then finally, the Lord has mentioned that it's better to live alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So we have to first understand that we are not this body, so we need to be free from this bodily concept of life. Then if we are not the body, then who we are? We are the soul. Bhagavad Gita 2.20 describes the soul as, so what is the characteristics of a soul? Bhagavad Gita 2.20 describes, न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचि नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. So, what's the translation for the soul? There is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primal. He is not slain when the body is slain. We are the internal part and parcel of Krishna, and our real identity is we are the servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita describes Jivar Swarup hoy Krishna Nitya Dasa. We are the eternal servant of Lord Sri Krishna. That is our real position. So we are the part and parcel of Krishna. What Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Mamavam sajiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasasendriyani prakritisthani karsati. We are the eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And as we are the fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities. Out of these qualities, independence is one. So every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. So by the misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul. And by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. So if we want to, because of our independence, if we want to forget Krishna, Krishna helps us to forget him. If we want to remember him, he helps us to remember, because Krishna resides in our heart as Paramatma. Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivisto Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Residing in everyone's heart is Paramatma. From him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. If we want to forget him, Krishna will help to forget him. If we want to remember him, he will help us to remember. So we have to decide how we'll utilize that minute fraction of independence. The living entity actually in the conditioned life is dominated by the material modes of nature and forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world. This material world is, Prabhupada usually says, like it's dukkhalaya masasvatam. Like if you go to, like we say Bastralaya, means if you go to Bastralaya, means you'll get only Bastra, you'll get only clothes. Similarly, this material world is dukkhalaya. Dukkhalaya means we'll get only dukkha here. It's full with anxieties, miseries. But what is our responsibility? We should not adjust. Like sometimes we try to be happy, the so-called happiness, distress. We usually try to adjust things, to manipulate things, so we'll be happy, which is actually really not happiness. So we have to make the best use of this bad bargain. What is the bad bargain? This body is the bad bargain. So as a result, like we have to tolerate the so-called happiness and distress also. We have to tolerate, and we have to focus in Krishna consciousness. That is the main, that will be the best use of the bad bargain. So in contaminated consciousness, actually, one sees everything to be for his own enjoyment, actually. But in Krishna consciousness, he sees that everything exists for the enjoyment of the supreme enjoyer. That is the difference between the dream state and wakefulness. We always keep ourselves in the center. Like we always try to enjoy, because we usually keep ourselves in the center for everything which is illusion. Why actually we keep ourselves also in the center? Because of the bodily concept of life. We think we're the body, anything associated with this body is mine. This is my house, like my property, my family, etc. But the persons who is awakened clearly knows the Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer, and everyone is meant for his pleasure. Our purpose should be to give pleasure to Krishna, not to ourselves. We think we did this, we did that, but we should understand that our position is we are the servant of Krishna. Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nitya Dasa. We are not the enjoyer. Krishna is the real enjoyer. If we understand this and engage ourselves in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord, then our life will be perfect, and that will be the best use of the bad bargain. Even though we are in this bodily, like in this material body, we can also use the best use of this body, because as per Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.58, it says like Samashitaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yesho murarehe bhavam buddhir vasya padam param padam 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 yad vipadam na tesam. For those, the translation is, for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mora demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. The goal is Param Padam Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger in at every step. So like with this material ocean, right, it's like vast, but when we take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, the entire ocean will become like water contained in the calf's footprint. How much water will be there in the calf's footprint? Very less, right? So we can easily cross this material miseries. How like our body is compared to a like kind of like a ship or boat, and our spiritual master is the captain of the boat, and our scriptures, Lord's instructions in the scriptures, they are the favorable wind. With all these facilities, we have to get out of this cycle of birth and death. If instead of providing all these facilities are provided to us, still if we are not trying our best to get out of it, still if we are not trying our best to be Krishna consciousness, then definitely we are the killer of the soul. Upanishad says that if instead of all these facilities are provided, still we are not giving our best in Krishna consciousness, we are not in devotional service, definitely we are the killer of the soul. So here Lord Kapila is encouraging to practice devotional activities. Lord Kapiladev indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. And it's a verse 12, what the Lord is saying, like, we don't have to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or banaprastha and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. So why Lord Kapiladeva, he left his home, you know, Bhagavad Gita 3.21. Yadyadacharati shreshthastad evataro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So Lord Kapila Deva, he is Lord himself. He don't have to, he left his home for spiritual realization, but he don't have to realize anything. He is the one whom we have to realize, right? But to show an example to people in general, he left his home. So the Lord also states here that those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children. The Lord is saying, if you, like in brahmacharya or vanaprastha and sannyasa state, we have to live alone. But many of us like cannot do that. So Lord is saying, yeah, definitely we can live with the family, but not for sense gratification, for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So here the word cultivation, it's very important. We need to cultivate bhakti. We need to take care of the bhakti lata by regularly pouring water. That is regular practice of bhakti by Shravanam, Kirtanam, 9 processes of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dashyam, Shaksham, Atma Nivedanam. So here why like the word cultivation is mentioned whenever we say, we have to say, like we usually say, cultivate Krishna consciousness. So I can give an example, like we all may have seen now in spring season, whole like in Phoenix area, we see so many weeds are growing very nicely in our backyards or front yards, everywhere. So we did not even put seeds for those weeds, right? How they're growing. So we can compare those weeds to negative thoughts, or like something like negative habits. Negative thoughts, negative habits, they come automatically by nature, like they will come. We don't, even though we don't invite them, they will come. Like those weeds, nicely they are growing, even though we are not putting water, no fertilizers, nicely they are growing in bulk. Like, so negative thoughts, they come automatically, but positive habits, positive, everything positive, like our Krishna consciousness, positive things, we have to cultivate. Like they will not come automatically, we have to cultivate, we have to take care of that. So we have to cultivate bhakti, and we have to take care of our bhakti lata. Guru Krishna Kripa by Bhakti Lata Beej. So with the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we have to nicely take care of our Bhakti Lata, and to be remain in Krishna consciousness. So the spiritual master, by understanding our psychophysical nature, he can guide us what should we choose in the social order, like whether to be a grihastha, brahmachari, or sannyasi, or banaprastha life, etc. So it will be helpful to practice bhakti in, like, let's say someone is like in a brahmacharya ashram, someone is a brahmachari but is not following the brahmacharya vrata nicely. That's not good, right? That could be a hindrance in the progress of bhakti. So in what state we can stay and we can focus in Krishna consciousness, that will be more useful. That's why Lord Kapila is saying here that we can be, if we can follow brahmacharya, sannyasa, or banaprastha life, we have to leave our house and we have to practice bhakti. But if we cannot do that, then we can also stay in our family life, like grihastha life, but not for sense gratification, to practice Krishna consciousness. So yeah, like this, we have to cultivate bhakti. Lord is saying in these 2 verses that we have to practice Krishna consciousness, and we have to dovetail our activities in Krishna consciousness. With that, I would like to stop here. Thank